begin reading at verse number 1. And they came over unto the other side of the sea into the country of Gadarenes. And when he was come out of the ship, immediately there met him out of the tomb a man with an unclean spirit, who had his dwelling among the tombs, and no man could bind him, no, not with chains. Verse 4. Because that he had been often bound with fetters and chains, and the chains had been plucked asunder by him, and the fetters broken in pieces, neither could any man tame him. And always, night and day, he was in the mountains and in the tombs, crying and cutting himself with stones. But when he saw Jesus afar off, he ran and he worshiped him. And he cried with a loud voice and said, What have I to do with thee, Jesus, thou Son of the Most High God? I adjure thee by God that thou torment me not. For he said unto him, Come out of the man, thou unclean spirit. And he asked him, What is thy name? And he answered, saying, My name is Legion, for we are many. Verse 10, and he besought him much that he would not send them away out of the country. Now there was near there, the mountains, a great herd of swine feeding. And all the devils that were in that man besought him, saying, Send us into the swine, that we may enter into them. Verse 13, and forthwith Jesus gave them leave. And the unclean spirit went out and entered into the swine, and the herd ran violently down a steep place into the sea. There were about 2,000 and were choked in the sea. And they that fed the swine fled and told it to everyone in the city and in the country, and they went out to see what was done. Verse 15, and they came to Jesus and see him that was possessed with the devil and had legion, sitting clothed and in his right mind. And they were afraid. Verse 17, if you will. And they began to pray him to depart out of their coast. And then when he was coming to a ship, he that had been possessed with the devil prayed him that he might be with him. May the Lord add a blessing to the reading of his word. You may be seated. If you need a subject topic, I want you to write down, manage your emotions. There's a quote made by Joyce Myers. I enjoy reading and listening to her at times, on top of the many others that I have a tendency to listen to. And the quote that she made said, God gave you emotions on purpose. Look at somebody real quick. Say, God gave you emotions on purpose. Understanding that if you are going to be a worshiper, amen, one of the things that can get in the way of your worship is your feelings. One of the things that can distract your worship and giving God all that he desires and making him first and foremost in your life could be your emotions. But you need to know that God gave you those emotions on purpose. Our emotions play a vital role in living a happy and healthy and successful life. Do you all agree with that? All emotions. Somebody say all. Amen. I'm not just talking about the good ones. I'm talking about love. I'm talking about anger. I'm talking about joy. And I'm talking about fear. All of those emotions play an important part in you understanding yourself along with you learning how to understand others. Are y'all getting this? So therefore, it's important that you recognize this, and please understand this, please. These diversity of feelings, these different emotions that you have were meant to complement your life. I want you to get that. These different emotions, these mood swings, these ups and downs, amen, they were meant to complement your life, not define it, not to determine it. You really need to get that down. The diversity of feelings were meant to complement the life, not to determine it or define it or to control it. God never gave you the emotions so that the emotions could control you. God has always made you stewards. And if you know anything about stewardship, you understand three things. Number one, God owns everything. There's nothing that you have in your possession. There's nothing that you've been blessed with. There's nothing that you have in your life, whether it be a male or female, son or daughter, car, vehicle, any material things. Everything that you have, no matter how hard you worked for it, it came from God. Oh, I wish I had some help here.